Cafecito con Cristel, the coffee break with Cristel.
Hi everybody, welcome to El Cafecito with Cristel, the coffee break with Cristel. Tonight, this morning, this afternoon, anytime that you're enjoying your cup of coffee, we have a fabulous guest. We're gonna talk about self-confidence, be better, and find the best on you. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, the incredible LaTasha from Liberated Visions. How are you, mamacita?
I'm feeling so good.
You feeling good today?
I am. I'm feeling great. I'm here with you.
Yes. So this is round 2 because you have a podcast yourself.
Yeah.
And it was so inspiring that also helped me decided, you know what, I'm going to go through this. We're going to do this YouTube's world and we're going to take it and go for it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me in yours. It was a great experience. And I hope you also have a great experience with me today.
Of course. It's always a good conversation. You were an excellent guest and I can't wait to talk to you again.
So we know each other at least a year and some change, right? Just so you guys know, Tasha is part of our Fusion Ballroom family as well. She come dance with us and she does a lot of fun stuff with us and a lot of chit-chatting too. I have a great time with her. So tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Your credentials, where you go to school. We don't have to stay there forever, but I would like our audience to know a little bit about personally about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my family is actually a military family.
Okay.
And I think we moved here maybe 96.
Okay.
It's always been weird for me to say like I'm from Augusta because I never felt that way because we were all over. But after all these years, I guess I'm from Augusta.
Augusta, yes.
So military family, moved here from Germany, but majority of our family, both sides of my parents' family is from Texas. So a lot of times when I refer to going home, that's where I'm talking about.
Texas.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Texas is home. That's where I was born, but raised and kind of grew up here in Augusta, Georgia.
Oh, great.
After I graduated high school, I actually went to the University of Georgia, so go Dogs.
I don't know nothing about football.
I know, they stressed me out. So any gray hair that I've had to cover up is because of Georgia football.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, so I went to the University of Georgia and I got 2 undergraduate degrees. I got a degree in advertising as well as a degree in sociology.
Awesome.
And then once I graduated, I wasn't quite sure what to do with life. You know, you're a student your entire life and then you get to a point where it's like,
What I do now.
what do I do now, right? Like, do I go work? Do I go to school? And I actually had an opportunity to teach with Teach for America, or I could go to grad school. And I was like, I don't know how to teach. I don't know about taking care of people's kids. And so I decided to go to grad school. And there I got a master's in professional counseling. Oh, so for a decade, that kind of had been my experience. I was working as a licensed professional counselor. And I have another job. And so there I was kind of the owner of Period Spring Counseling, which is another company, but I know we're here talking about Liberated Vision today.
Yes, that's what we hear. And I want you to tell everybody why you decide to start Liberated.
Oh, yeah.
What take you there? Besides, obviously, your credentials and your schooling and your degrees, what take you to decide this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and this is my passion, this is my journey, and what inspire you to go for it?
So what I've realized is kind of starting off, a lot of people don't know the difference or understand the full difference between therapy or counseling and coaching. And with therapy, which is what I've done over the past decade, I kept seeing a lot of the same pain points amongst my clients. I mean, it could be a teenager or it could be someone in their 60s. There was a lot of similar concerns that they had. And I just remember sitting there and thinking, this spans throughout life. And I wish that we could be more intentional with identifying some of those pain points and normalizing it for people. And just kind of going back to that difference with counseling and coaching, counseling, it's dealing with symptoms of some form of mental illness, right? Like maybe there's anxiety, depression, those types of things. Whereas coaching is more so based in skill set growth. I like to compare it to like physical therapy, where maybe you have some form of an injury, and so you'll go to physical therapy to try to heal that injury and work on it. But you're not there forever. Eventually, you kind of get back in the game. But in the game,
keep going.
you still have a coach.
Yeah.
And the coach is able to help strengthen your skills, you know, kind of really observe what you're good at, what you're working with, and also just help you get past certain obstacles that you may still have. Because even though you did all that work in physical therapy, there's still going to be things that you could use support with. And the coaching aspect, it just, it resonated a lot more with my personality. I can do a lot more personally with coaching that I couldn't necessarily really get into with therapy, because therapy is like in the medical world, and so HIPAA and a lot of laws that didn't really allow me to have connections outside of my work with the people that I had been working with.
Going more in depth. So it feels a little bit almost like more because of the restrictions you have, that sometimes you feel like it was more putting a bandage that really fixing the problem?
Well, I mean, I definitely think because that was symptom-based, you're getting to the core of it. But for me, I love connections and relationships.
Of course.
But I couldn't really hold those outside of therapy, right? Like with that, I would do my work, we would work on those core issues, but then with it being a medical model, it was like, you know, kind of gone. Yeah. Whereas I love to be a part of people's development. I want them to continue to share their development. And with coaching, I knew that I would have more opportunity to work with people in multiple ways, to really help and support them in multiple aspects of their lives where they might be having challenges. And really to just kind of be a part of that growth where I wasn't like hidden in the shadows. I can see you out in public and talk to you and just be a lot more comfortable. But more than anything, I just knew that with coaching and Liberated Vision, what it offers me, I was going to be able to touch the world, per se, like in a broader way, that just aligned more with what I was wanting.
So that's the goal, right? To be able to reach to more people. So tell me, what are you offering with Liberated, and how people can get into it, and how much having this whole business that you develop help you be more in touch with your clients?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Liberated Vision, well, let me kind of back up. When I started to get into coaching, I was like, okay, what type of coaching do I want to offer? And so for me, I thought about what was most important to me, and it's mindset and sensuality. Oh, I know, right?
Sexy time.
Well, so when people hear mindset, they have a good idea of what that means. And a lot of my work previously as a therapist helps with the mindset part, because I pull a lot of techniques and just skill set and still things that you might learn or bring up in therapy that help people with their mindset changes and focusing on those challenges. But the sensuality part, I just felt was also so important, and it's a part that people tend to overlook. So when people do hear sensuality, they think sex.
Yeah, right? And that's not it at all.
Sex is a part of sensuality, but it's not all of it. So sensuality is really about being in tune with yourself, your body. It's about being aware of the type of pressure and touch you like, right? So something like in a massage, do you want light, firm, deep tissue? That's all sensuality. It's about things that light you up with your senses, all of your senses, the things you like to see, colors that you're drawn towards, smells, sounds, taste. It's all of those things that what I began to recognize we rush through in our life, right? Like we eat every single day. We eat multiple times a day, but people probably couldn't fully tell you everything that they had in the last 24 hours, or what it tasted like, or what the flavors were, what it was made up of.
Work is in the way, kids are in the way,
exactly.
Husbands, wives, everything's on the way.
Yeah, so we rush through the world and we don't tap into our senses, which is such a gift of our body to be able to tell us or direct us towards the things that we like and to let us know what we don't like. And so I teach people when it comes to sensuality how to really tap in and slow down and listen to your body so that you can engage more with things that you like and start to reduce your time with the things that you don't like. So mindset and sensuality are the basis of Liberated Vision.
Okay.
And so within that, there's lots of different ways that people can work towards being their authentic self. That's kind of one of the biggest goal for me, is for people to feel fulfilled and for them to live an authentic world where they're not bound by the should statements of society. They're not trying to meet these expectations that maybe they've struggled with their entire life. Because in a lot of ways, we're really conditioned to follow this guideline of what society says is correct. And I'm the type of person where I'm like, who is the society, and
where is the book?
Yeah, who gets to choose? Who gets to choose what's normal?
Yeah.
Who gets to choose what's normal? And for the longest time, just personally, I remember just struggling with what would be considered normal and how if something felt natural to me, if I did that and it didn't line up with that, it was considered weird or it wasn't okay.
Or wrong.
Yeah, and I'm like, but why? Why? I like it, I feel comfortable, and I wasn't interested in trying to meet the needs or desires of other people. And I just became comfortable being, I guess, a weirdo, right?
It's awesome to be a weirdo. I'm such a big weirdo.
I love
oh my God.
But I mean, in a lot of ways too, I remember the first time someone told me I was weird, and it kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, I don't understand. But what I recognized was me being weird was considered really
unique.
It was me really just being honest about what I liked and didn't like. And I was like, oh, well, I'll be weird. That's fine. You know, if that's what weird is, I wouldn't want to be any other way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so with that has allowed me to live a very authentic life. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and just like really know myself. And I'm so appreciative that I learned that early on. So between learning it within my own life and also just supporting other people in journeys in the past, I just recognized how important it is. So then came Liberated Vision. And the first thing that I actually did was I wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible, but also being honest about limits that I have. I'm only one person. I can't necessarily meet with people one-on-one all the time. Everyone, especially as adults, our time is all over the place.
And
it's limited. We can't meet at the same time per se. And so I created a digital course, which is called Vitality.
Nice.
And Vitality is kind of the heart of Liberated Vision. So it focuses on 4 major areas that I kind of outlined as like, I don't know, just the 4 main areas that we really want to tap into in order to live authentic and fulfilled lives. And so it covers first your viewpoint, which is all about understanding how you think and why you think that way.
Yes.
We all have reasons for why we think the way that we do, and we don't often step back to really understand, where did I learn that? Or, why does my brain automatically think that? Where do these core messages stem from?
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it's about stepping back and saying, okay, where does this come from? Why is it there? Also, how has it served me? Because I started to learn and see that a lot of people will judge themselves for how they think. They get upset that their mind goes to a specific place. And I say, well, rather than being upset, let's step back and understand, why does it do that? Even from a, like I said, how does it serve you standpoint. If you say you have an adult and they're what we might consider a fighter, when they get upset, they want to fight, or maybe they're like physical, they're ready to throw punches and stuff. At what point in that person's life did they realize that maybe throwing a punch protected them?
Yeah.
Right. So
like a self-mechanism, right?
Right.
Self-protected.
So whereas we may not necessarily agree with the behavior, there's a reason for that. And so once we understand where it came from and where it stems from, then we can kind of backtrack and say, okay, we understand why your brain automatically goes here, but how do we expose you to something else to show you that there's other things that can protect you as well. Because you've chosen something for an end result, but there's other ways to get to that end result. So that's all about viewpoint, right? And helping people tackle that. And then we get into the sensuality part, which is one of my favorites. It's all about vibes.
Yes.
And there's a lot of, so within Vitality overall, there's workbooks and there's video courses that I recorded, but there's also different challenges and guest speakers. And so it helps people like actually do activities to learn about those things. So sensuality, I have people doing tons of stuff like with their body and like mirror exercises and just really stripping down, literally. I know, but literally stripping down and becoming vulnerable with themselves, allowing themselves to see themselves, because a lot of times we also tend to hide ourselves from the world out of protection many times. But I wanted people to stop hiding, you know. I want people to be okay being seen, whether that's them seeing themselves or allowing the world to see themselves.
See it.
Yeah.
Being their own selves and expose it and be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So vibe, you know, like I said, it's one of my favorites because not only do you tap into it, but then you become intentional with creating the space, right? Like what type of music is in your home? How do you decorate? What clothing do you wear? What's your style with your hair? All of that is vibes. What's your vibe? You know, what makes you feel good? What lights you up? And then we step into values, and values is all about what's important to you.
Yes.
But what I realize, the challenge with values is that we are often told what our values are. So then when we're trying to live by our values as adults, we're really not.
No.
Because we're living by what we have been told and what we think in our head is right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, well, family is important to me, but maybe family is not important to you, and that's okay. It's okay.
It's the reality. It's true. Yeah.
You know, maybe there are certain things, maybe religion is not important to you, and that's okay. It's fine that it's important to grandma. It's fine that it's important to your mom, but maybe for you, you've had a different experience, and it's not one of your top ones. So it's helping people better understand what their values actually are. And so a lot of that comes from understanding the viewpoints. And once they can better understand exactly what their own values are, I teach them how to prioritize those. Because once again, we only have so much time and you can't prioritize everything. Yeah. So if anything, why not prioritize the things that are most important to you? But you have to know what those are.
Yeah, definitely. That means that what are my values are not your values. And people have to understand that and be able to realize that it's okay to embrace them.
Yeah, and it's okay if yours are different from mine, because something else that happens is your values might be different from mine, so then I might get upset because you're not doing the things that I want you to do. Yes. But why be upset if you're doing what is good for you?
For you.
Yeah. So I have sections on working through those types of challenges as well. And then we put all those three pieces together and we get to vision. And vision is, now that you understand your viewpoint, now that you understand the things that make you feel good in vibes, now that you understand what's most important to you and what you want to prioritize, how do we line this up into how you want to live your life? How do we kind of lay it all out there and say, okay, this is the direction that I want to go, but it's also about releasing goals. And I know people hear that and they're like, don't have goals. And it's not that I'm saying don't have goals, but we are so attached to the outcome as humans that we don't recognize that there are so many. Let me back up a second. We're so attached to outcomes because we believe that an outcome is going to give us a certain feeling or it's going to nurture a certain value. And our attachment becomes towards a certain action rather than the value itself, right? So freedom is one of my big values. When I think of freedom, I think of a lot of things. I think financial freedom, I think mental freedom, I think all these things. But when I hear freedom, I only think not being in debt. So then that's the thing I'm just working on. I'm holding so steadfast to that, and then maybe I get out of debt and I still don't feel free. Because maybe it is one thing that can contribute towards it, but it's not necessarily the end goal. So it's more so understanding what are your values, and then what are some things that we can do to have that. But if there's certain contexts and things that prevent you from being able to have something so specific, how else can you still feel really good? So a part of what I do in the vision section is a Liberated Vision board, but it's still different because I don't want to give it all away. I want people to like see within the course, but there's a whole mindset shift on how you create that to help release attachment to certain specific outcomes.
Okay, so in other words, people can probably make like a list of small goals, right, to get to the main end. And that's why you do the vision board and the other exercise. And it's okay, we don't have to go so fast to get where we want to be. And also understanding that in particular, that goal in particular, it should not be only the main thing, right?
Right. So you've seen like my business cards. And on one of my business cards on the back, it says, focus on how you want to feel, not on what you want to do. Because, you know, and we're taught to think this way. So
by the book.
Yeah. People are conditioned to think, you know, my self-worth is measured by the things that I do. Right? My self-worth as a child was measured in my grades. Did I get an A? If I didn't get an A, oh my God, I got a B, and all of a sudden my self-worth is lower.
Yeah, and that should not be the case.
But that's how we are conditioned early on to think. It's very much so what you do, what you have, what you get is a measurement of your self-worth. So it makes sense that as adults, we're still so attached to the what I do, but you can grow up and you start to realize, oh, I went to college, but actually there's people who didn't go to college who are living wonderful lives and they feel great and they're perfectly fine. And just because I went to college didn't specifically mean X,
that I
Y,
was going to
Z.
be successful.
Right, whatever successful is.
So I have a podcast, actually a first podcast with our friend Haley that you know her from Roots and Leaf. And we have that conversation about what is success, right? How success is measured, right? Because I have a smaller studio, that doesn't mean that I'm not successful. This is my success. There's other people who have bigger studios. And how we measure success, right? What creates for society, like you said, that having something bigger or being more out there, that means that you are success. But if you have something smaller, it's not successful. So that's very interesting to me, and I feel very confident about that by myself. But I see it over and over with other colleagues and other people, not only in my business, in other businesses, that they feel like, well, I just have this, and this is small, and you know, maybe in the future, and I'm like, that's what you have. And maybe it's not 10 of them, but hopefully in 10 years or 20 years will be 10 of them, right? And so, you know, imagine this, like for me, realizing that, wait a minute, I've been owning this place for 6 years by myself. After we went through a crazy pandemic and everybody was surviving, some people closed, bigger studios closed. So how we measure success, right? And I had that conversation with Haley in our podcast with her, and now that you mentioned that, it hits me again, because it's so important for people to realize what is success to you is not success for me. And what is not success for you, it is success for me. Right?
I mean, and that's not to take away from anything, because something can mean one thing to one person and something completely different to another.
Exactly.
But the fact is, a lot of times we're pushed towards very specific things because we're told, once again, this we're not, you know, no one verbally says this is a measurement of your success. But this is what you have to have or what you need to be successful or whatever it is. And I just remember really paying attention to my own life and reevaluating what feels good to me. And I started to realize being busy all the time doesn't feel good to me.
No.
So when I hear people say, oh, like work hard, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to work hard. I want to work smart, and I want to work in a way to where I have balance.
Yes.
I actually had this conversation with a friend. They decorated their office and there's a sign and it says like, nobody cares, work harder, work harder, work harder. And I said, that's a little aggressive.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much.
I was like, this sign, I don't like that sign. It goes against everything I believe in. But
Yes.
it works for his mentality and how he thinks of the world, but it doesn't work for me because
Exactly.
I'm exhausted looking at that sign. To me, that sign, especially starting with nobody cares, means for me, you know, I know he interprets it a different way, but for me, I very much so hear we're not focused on the other aspects of your life that are important to you.
Yeah.
Like your mental health and your balance and all these
Family,
things.
your friends, those two
Yeah.
relationships are very important as
Yeah.
well. Not only your actual partner in life, you know, your husband, your wife, or whoever is your partner, is the fact that creating those bonds with family and friends that are also your, you know, your tribe to keep going.
Yeah, so it comes back to really genuinely what is the most important to you. And I try not to get morbid, but this is one of the things I think about is when you're reading my eulogy at the end, you're not going to care how much money I made, or you're probably not going to talk about my businesses necessarily and my degrees and all these things. You're going to talk about my character. You're going to talk about how I made you feel. You're going to talk about your experiences with me. And that is what I choose to focus on. But no one's really showing you that that's a measurement of success.
Yeah.
But those are my measurements of success.
I agree with you 100%. And also, you are not taking none of those businesses and houses and cars with you down there in the ground. And then they are not going to fly to heaven with you.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And it's extremely interesting to me, all what are you doing? And it's fantastic. It's so different and refreshing. So now let's talk about how everybody can join Liberated and how they can be part of your tribe.
Yes, absolutely. So joining Liberated Vision. So there's a few ways that you guys can work with me. Like I said, there is Vitality, which comes both as a self-led course that you can buy at any time. So it's on the website. You can download it. It's available to you
Website
anytime.
will be right here. Right here.
I also run a group, a Vitality group. It's the live experience. And so that is actually an 8-week program where we go through the digital course, but we also have live guest speakers. In addition to the guest speakers who are pre-recorded in the course, we have live guest speakers and we have a community. And that's one of my favorite parts as well, because I love to see the community come together and support each other. We had a group of, I believe it was 5 women in the last cohort, and it was just really magical to see them work and support each other. Absolutely love that.
Aw, that's awesome. That's great.
I know. I also do one-on-one coaching packages, and so those are also on the website. And then I will be doing both online and in-person workshops, which I'm really excited about. One of the workshops that I'm going to have coming up in January is focused on, once again, setting your vision, but I'm using the process of kind of what I teach in the course on helping people set their visions and helping them identify value. So it's kind of like a sneak peek in a sense of the course, and pulling some of the major points from that into helping people who maybe don't have as much time to, you know, sit down with the course or do the live program. So I'm going to have a workshop about that in January. And then there's going to be just tons of other self-development workshops that are going to be coming up, both in person, online. I'm going to continue my sensuality workshops, which you were able to be a part of.
Yes, we did one here at the studio. It was fantastic. We teach them how to dance, to understand how dancing contribute to their sensuality, and it was great. We had such a good time.
Yes, so
we got to do that on again.
We will. We absolutely will. So with the sensuality workshops, it's specifically focused on going back to challenging you touching in with your senses. So the last one we had the sound bath with Taranda.
It was so wonderful.
Yeah, so that was wonderful, and that she's with energy vibrations. And then of course we did the bachata lesson with you, and I specifically wanted to do that because so many people feel vulnerable when it comes to dancing. So it was tapping into, you know, both movements and sight and sound and so much. And connection, yes. So continuing different sensuality workshops just around Augusta with different areas that, you know, I have a couple of people that I'm really interested in working with, and so I'm going to have that out there. And then one of my ultimate intentions and goals, and so I'm going to put it on camera so that it's out there and people can
manifestation.
Yes, we're going to manifest it, right? But a lot of people know, and if they listen to the podcast, they'll learn a bit more. The podcast, LaTasha Code. But I have been a solo traveler for a few years. I love to just travel the world by myself. Probably still drives my mom crazy, but I've always made it back, so here I am. But with that, I have an intention of doing some retreats that hopefully will be able to be international one day, where people can come on and you know, maybe visit a wonderful country with me and tap into more mindset work and sensuality work, and just really connect with themselves to really figure out what it is that they're wanting in this world.
Yes, and these workshops are available not only locally, like if anybody from anywhere in any of the states or all over the world will love to have you. They can get in contact with you. You can take the coaching, the workshops, anything they need, and you can also probably can set up something for their own situation, right?
Absolutely. I love to travel. So what better way, you know, to once again move around and travel than to be able to go and do what I love in a different area. So I absolutely will travel if anybody's interested in having me lead a workshop for them.
So if you also own a business, you are available for those fantastic like big business meeting to help each other and connect. And that's great. I think that's very important also, especially small businesses that are trying to figure out, and everybody's trying to connect and make everything work better. I think that's great. I love when I do it myself and they bring me to teach a dance lesson so they can work together. And it creates a different environment. So before we close, it's important to me for us to talk a bit about your podcast. What is the name of it? I know the name of it, but I want you to say it. And in which platforms people can listen to it?
So my podcast is called The Tasha Code.
LaTasha Code.
Yes, The Tasha Code. And it's funny because it was never intended to be a part of my business. I just wanted to start it for myself, to really reflect on my travels, to reflect on the things that I had learned personally within my own life and amongst just other people. I absorb from other people. I'm always learning. I told you about, you know, being on the cruise with my mom, and I was watching the woman who was just dancing by herself every single night, and me just watching her every single night. There was so much that I learned from that experience, right?
Just seeing her having a good time and enjoying herself.
So that was where I was housing that, but then it just started to become so much more, and so it's about my own journey to Liberated Vision, because like I tell people, it's not like you get to this island of feeling really good and you just stay there. It's active work. It's just like the gym. Like maybe someone physically feels like they're in their prime shape, but you still have to take care of it. You still have to go
maintain it.
You have to maintain it. And so it's my journey to Liberated Vision as well as my maintenance of Liberated Vision. It's me pulling in people that I can learn from, you know, people like you, people.
It was just so much fun.
All my closest folks, I learn from everyone. And so that's what that's there for. It's just like a more personal connection with me, where we just talk about releasing everything that's holding us down in this world and living our best lives.
And it's a great addition to your business. Plus, you always bring great guests.
Yeah, I've got
like
great
me.
guests.
You still can listen to our podcast and
Yes.
LaTasha Code. Which platforms we can hear it?
Yeah, so LaTasha Code is on all platforms. So it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts. It's literally
Everywhere.
Should be on any platform that you can listen to a podcast.
That's great. Now, real quick, what is in the future for Liberated? Beside the trips you would like to do with your peoples, with your tribe.
Yeah. So as far as like just what's coming up next, like I said, there's the workshop in January. That's kind of one of the main ones. But really, I'm just kind of really trying to meet people where they're at right now. So I kind of flow with the seasons, right?
Yeah.
And so right now we're in fall. And so me and Liberated Vision are learning how to, once again, like release certain expectations, release anything that might be holding me back, liberate it back. I always say like fall shows you how beautiful it is when you can let things go. So that's where we are right now. But the biggest thing is just building community, right?
That's great.
It's building community because the work that I do, to me, it's so important, not just from a business standpoint, but from a life standpoint. And one thing that I don't like is when I can feel that businesses are like, sell to you, especially when it comes to self-development. I never want anyone to feel like they are pressured to work with Liberated Vision, right? I want people to say, this is what I've been looking for, and here is a way for me to be intentional with myself, and I choose that path.
Yes.
So
yes. It's an investment to yourself. That's what I tell my students all the time. Dancing is an investment for yourself. You might see a price tag, but it's an investment that you're doing to be better, to gain a skill, and be able to enjoy life every day and different things you do.
Yeah. And so even with me, like coming to dance with Fusion, there are a lot of people who might say, oh, well, why do you prioritize that? I prioritize it because it makes me feel good.
Yes.
I prioritize it because it's fun. I prioritize it because it's a commitment to myself. I prioritize it because I enjoy your spirit and being around you. And so, yeah, it's about prioritizing the things that are important to you. So I'm all about just building community right now, making sure that people know that this resource is out there and available, not in a feeling pressure type of way, but I know especially as we're coming towards the end of the season, or I say the season, but the end of the year. January for sure is a time frame that people kick off and they want to change mindsets
and go for it.
They have a lot of things that they want to work on. I'm here.
Yes.
But also you don't have to wait, right? We don't have to wait till January.
We can do it right now.
We can do it right now.
Right now. Okay, tell us your website again, one more time.
Yes. So the website is liberatedvision.co. You can also connect with me on Instagram, and it's going to be at Liberated Vision. And also, if you utilize Facebook, I'm on there as well at Liberated Vision.
That's awesome. That's everything you have for everybody, and I'm super excited to see you grow.
Thank you.
Maybe another different, more development in your website in the future, more
Absolutely.
courses. And I just see a bright future. I'm so excited to have you, not only as part of our family at the studio, but also as a friend.
Yeah.
And learning from you is also great. I learn from my students all the time. and she's one of them, one of those students that you consider family 100%. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming. Guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe in the button here, the bell there, wherever YouTube's have it, okay? Don't forget, it's the only way our channel is gonna grow. And we wanna bring Tasha again in the future to get an update and have many other fantastic people in our channel. Well, thank you so much. This is it for this episode, or El Cafecito con Cristel, the coffee break with Cristel. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Adios.